Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Taylor, and I've gotten several chart requests, and I'm going to go ahead and analyze them here. Just want to say a few things before I get started. Most of these stocks I'm not going to have annotated the charts, and the idea here ahead of time. I'm not going to annotate the charts ahead of time, and the idea here is so that you can kind of see the process and learn a thing or two about analyzing stocks and basic technical analysis. Alright, so first one we're going to look at is STEM, S-T-E-M. First thing I'm seeing here, really easy, is downtrend. So right there, okay? Alright, so there was a touch, there's a touch, there's a touch, there's a touch, and then here we have that touch right there. So beautiful trend line to play against, so it's no surprise that that's where we got rejected at. We also have a ton of resistance right around there as well from the lows of these candles here. You can see that, several lows right there. So big resistance ahead of us. Main support I'm seeing on STEM isn't until, down here at about 60 cents or so from the highs of these candles, or the close of this candle, close of this candle, close of that candle, and then the highs of these candles right there. So not until about 60 cents. When you make a move like this, all right, you don't leave any support on the lower side. So if you drop, the drop could be significant. When you make a move like this, it's just sideways trading. Not saying it is going to drop, but support and resistance is created by sideways trading. So here's some sideways trading. We can draw some support down here. You see how many touches we have against this price level, okay? Against that price level. But right here, we just kind of slice through all that, and that's why we got rejected up here at about 260 from the lows of these candles. Next one, let's take a look at INVN. And this is one I have looked at before, so I already have it marked up. We have resistance up here at about 850. You can clearly see it was resistance here, it was support right here, and here was support, almost support right there. Here was resistance, 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 a lot of touches there, and again, that's where we got rejected at this most recent time. Another thing that I'm seeing right here is potentially an uptrend right here, as well as potentially right there. So both of these are valid uptrend lines. I like this one a little more just because of the angle. And let's see here, and you can clearly see there's a touch right there, a touch right there, a touch right there as well. So that's 3 touches, and really 3 touches is what you want to see to make it a valid trend line. So biggest support I'm seeing is right around 660. You can see it was resistance, resistance, lots of candles fighting against that level right there. So yeah, those are the 3 main things I'm seeing right here is resistance at 850, and then support is this trend line, as well as the horizontal support down here at about 660. Yeah, and that's basically all I got on INVN. The next resistance above us is at about $10 from the lows of all these candles, and a couple touches of these candles right here. So $10, $850, $660, and this uptrend line right there. All right, let's take a look at the next chart. RATE. Do not believe I have this one marked up. Okay, so RATE, first thing that I'm seeing right here, potentially multiple downtrend lines. Alright, so there's one right there. As you can see, a lot of touches right here, a few touches right here, and then let's see if we can draw another one from over here. Yeah, so that one works too. You can see that a lot of touches here, 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 and here. So we've got two downtrend lines right there. And then another thing I'm seeing is an uptrend line right here. So we've got a triangle right here. So here's the top of the triangle, here's the bottom of the triangle. Bulls, you want it to break over both of these downtrend lines. Bears, you want it to break under this uptrend line, and both of those should see a nice move in either direction. As you can see, we've got a lot of resistance ahead of us, so more than likely the move would be to the downside. I'm seeing another level here. Wow, okay, I'm not going to draw that. But the biggest thing here is this triangle here. So a break below this trend line or a break above this trend line should see a nice move in whichever direction it decides to break. So be aware of that. Next time, let's take a look at NXPI. Alright, so NXPI, this is one that I have looked at, so I do have it annotated ahead of time. You know, just going back here, since I already have it drawn, you know, we've got this downtrend line, touch here, touch here, touch here, and then as you can see, we broke over it, nice little breakout. Okay, and look at where we bounced from over here. So that's why it's always good to extend these lines here, these downtrend lines that you break over, because you think, oh, it's breaking out, oh, and then it failed below, and you're thinking, you know, maybe it wasn't a breakout. Well, you can still use this trend line on the retest right there. So let's see what I can see on a shorter term basis. Yeah, I'm seeing a little uptrend here. I'm not going to put a ton of weight on it. It has 1, 2, 3 touches, but definitely bulls, you want to see this level hold. And here's that resistance up here at about 88.80. So 88.80, let's just call it $89. If we close over $89, that would be very bullish. This would be a triangle breakout here, flat top resistance, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. What matters is we have an uptrend line leading into a flat resistance level, and that usually provides a nice breakout if it closes above the resistance. So bulls, you want it over 89, bears, you want it underneath this trend line here. Alright, let's take a look at the next one. Usually do my own chart analysis, but beyond price history and traditional charting techniques, I'm pretty lacking. Yeah, so I use pretty traditional charting techniques. So, but we'll do it anyways. MGTO. All right, so let's take a look at MG.TO. First thing I'm seeing here is, okay, so we broke over this downtrend line right here. See if there's anything else I can see. Nice little double touch down here. See if I can see any kind of resistance levels in our way. Okay, so that 5350-ish level seems like it's a big one. I'll zoom in here so you can see it a little better. You can see how many times we got rejected here, 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 and then here a few times. So that's really going to be the next level that we want to clear on this stock. You know, we broke over this downtrend line. I do think it'll break out higher and eventually over this 5350, but that would be the kind of next hurdle that you want to look for on MG.TO. Next, let's take a look at BMW. Okay, I'm not sure why that's not coming up for me. Alright, next let's take a look at TTNP. Alright, TTNP is one that I have looked at here. And as you can see, we have a nice uptrend line right here. A lot of touches against this trend line. Again right there, again right here. And then here we are breaking higher. As you can see, we broke over this resistance. There's resistance, 515, 515 here. This candle tried to break over it, but ended up closing below it. And then this candle was the first candle to close above that resistance. You can see now we are heading higher on TTNP. Another thing that I think I can draw here is a little downtrend line that we broke over as well. So that was a nice little mini early hint that we could have seen. As far as resistance in the way, right around 740 or so is going to be that main resistance that I'm going to see. Just because of all these candles, you can see it tried to break over that several times. It couldn't quite do it. But overall, this looks like a pretty decent stock right here. And I do think that it heads higher. As long as it holds this 515 level or so, I do think it heads higher. So if it breaks below this trend line, that would not be a very good sign. Alright, next let's take a look at BIDU. BIDU, I know I'm going to have some annotations here, but I haven't marked it up in a while. Okay, so, you know, I haven't looked at this stock in at least a week or two, and you can see how these trend lines work. So I drew this trend line starting from here in November of 2015. We got a couple touches here, touch here, almost a touch right there, and I just extended it out, and what do you know? That's right where we got rejected right here. So I'm going to extend it even more. See if I can extend it even more. Right there. Okay, so we've got resistance from that trend line, and then we've got support at about 167. You can see it was resistance, 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 here, 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 and then finally we broke over it. So this was a nice little box trade right there, and I'll just draw this box so you can see it very clearly. So there's that box. You can see that it's just trading back and forth between about 168 and about 156. So usually that provides a nice little breakout move that you can play on. So, but yeah, so support is between here and here. Very thick support in here from all this sideways trading action. Okay. Next, let's take a look at SO. Alright, so SO is one I have looked at before. Short-term downtrend line. Bulls, you want to see it break over that downtrend line. Bears, you want to see it continue lower. Another thing that I'm seeing here is this uptrend line right here. This is a really nice uptrend line. You can see why we bounced from here because of that uptrend line. Here's a few touches. I'll zoom in a little bit. Touches, 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 touches right here, and then here's our most recent touch. So more than likely this trend is going to continue. What you want to look for is a bounce off of here and then a break over that downtrend line right there. So if it breaks this uptrend line, then you have to be concerned, you know, especially because of how many bounces we've gotten off of it. So this is a strong uptrend line. Another reason that makes me think that we're going to bounce from it is just because of the distance that we've traveled to reach the downtrend line. Okay, so what I mean is we were traveling, we were well above the uptrend line. If you look at all these other touches right here, pretty close to the uptrend line, pretty close to the uptrend line. Here we are further away. Here we are even further away. Okay, and normally when trend lines break, they don't just go straight down through it from this distance. They usually come down here and they hang out by the trend line for a little bit and then eventually go down. Or they don't come around, or they don't go as far from the trend line and then they slice right through it. But when they have traveled this far just to reach that trend line, usually they get a bounce. So just kind of be aware of that when you're using trend lines in your charting. Alright, next let's take a look at AMD. AMD, everyone wants to know about AMD. So AMD, been covering this a lot, clearly in an uptrend here, uptrend, touch, touch. And notice how, you know, we didn't quite touch the trend line here, but you can see that the angle is pretty much the same. So, you know, I'll just draw it right here. So it's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit further away. And I'll go ahead and delete that. Okay, so where are we now? Where are we going? Well, we had a nice flat top breakout. You can see how many times we got rejected at $7. And then we broke over it with some heavier volume. See that volume right there? This is one of the heavier volume days of the entire year. So that's what you want to see for breakout, for stocks. You know, you can see that, you know, we broke out here with some heavy volume. That's exactly what you want to see. Let's see another high volume day. Right here, this day, right here, we broke out with heavy volume. Here, these few days right here, heavy volume, okay? And then this day right here, I mean, this is just beautiful, okay? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Another thing that I want to note here is notice how when we trade sideways, or right here we're trading kind of sideways, kind of down, notice how the volume drops off. Notice how every day it's dropping off. So we have a big high volume green day right here, breakout day, and then these sideways days have lower volume. So that's exactly what you want to see in an uptrend. Okay? So support is at 7, and then we've got that uptrend line as support as well. Alright, next let's take a look at BTE. Alright, BTE so we had a little short-term downtrend line here and we broke over it. So more than likely, probably get a bounce from a retest of that downtrend line that we broke over. So that's about, 470, 460 if it gets there right away. Let me get kind of a longer term picture here. If we look at the weekly chart, I'm sure there's some kind of downtrend line, like this. You know what? We're just going to look at the weekly chart. Okay, there you go. So here's that downtrend line. And notice how we broke over it, and that's exactly where we bounced off of. Okay? That's exactly where we bounced off of on the weekly time frame. Another thing that I'm seeing here is this uptrend line right about here. From the weekly time frame on these candles right here, you can see how many times did we bounce, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 weeks where we bounced off of that uptrend line. So it's a pretty decent looking stock here. More than likely going to continue higher after it bounces off of, look at how all these lines kind of intersect here. So really, this is where you want to be looking for a bounce zone. So between $4 and $4.75 is really where you want to look for a bounce. So here's that uptrend line. Here's the downtrend line that we broke over, and here's that other downtrend line that we broke over as well. So anywhere in between this circle here is going to be a good bounce zone. If it breaks below this circle, below $4, then I would be concerned on the long side. I wouldn't like it for a long if that happened. But more than likely, we should get a bounce. I'm going to draw one other thing here. Okay, so you see this volume by price bar right here? This really long gray bar. So we're right at the highest volume, where the most volume has been traded on this stock. Okay, so when you're above it, that's bullish. When you're below it, that's bearish. Okay, just to put it simply. When you have volume by price, that creates support and resistance, because volume is just another way of looking at support and resistance. All right, let's see if I have any more here. MACK. All right, M-A-C-K. All right, MACK is one that I have looked at here, obviously. And we do have a downtrend line. This is a nice downtrend line. Lots of touches right here. And then as you can see, kind of below support right here. Here was that support at about 512. Support, see how many times it bounces. Here we kind of tinkered with it, tried to break back over it, and now we're below it again. And you see today's action saw above average volume as we broke lower on this, not quite a bearish engulfing candle, but pretty much. So really, I'm not really interested on the long side for this stock. There's also another downtrend line that you can probably draw. That's even better because just because it's been around longer, since April of last year. So you want to have both of these downtrend lines drawn on your chart. So really, I wouldn't really want to own this stock personally as it's below this. If it somehow decides to break back up, then I'd be looking for it to break over this downtrend line, and then I think it'd be good for a long to hit that downtrend line up here. But until it does that, to me this is kind of a no touch. I don't really think it looks that great. Alright guys, thank you for stopping by and watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Taylor Carver at thetradinganalyst.com. See you next time.